Golden Era Gaming.
Hello and welcome to Golden Era Gaming. I'm Martin, aka Player 1, and this is my brother Martin, aka Player 2.
Hello there. In this series, A to Zelda, we will be working our way through all of the games of the awesome Super Nintendo and Sega Mega Drive systems, the golden era of 16-bit systems.
Every week, we're going to tackle one letter of the alphabet, taking on one system each. After a bit of back and forth, a bit of debate, the end result will be a single game that will enter the coveted A to Zelda Hall of Game.
So let's get started. Let's play A to Zelda.
A to Zelda.
Today, we're talking about the best B games. I've been trawling through the Mega Drive back catalogue, and Martin has been looking through the SNES archives. Martin, how's it going? And how did you find B?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Thanks, Martin. I struggled with B. I think it was a bit of a come down from A. So B's were difficult. It was, I mean, I think I got there in the end with my selections, but not quite as solid as last time. But yeah, there was still some good games in there. What did you find on the Mega Drive? How did you find it?
Yeah, I also felt like I was going to struggle to even get 5 games. But there were actually turned out to be a few solid games here.
All that worry for nothing.
All that worry
Those
for
sleepless
nothing.
nights, and it's all come together.
But yeah, I agree. Probably a bit of a letdown from A. There were a few bangers in A, and B, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So why don't we get into it? It's time for the dump.
The dump.
And the time indeed for your dump, Martin.
Oh. Well, thank you very much. My dump today I would describe as bitty. Some good bits, bad bits, a little bit inconsistent, and a bit loose maybe.
Yeah.
So my five choices for the B on the SNES. We're going to start off with a bit of a stinker. Oh, that's harsh actually, because it is one of my 5 choices. There's a game called Brutal Paws of Fury.
Yeah.
In Japan, I believe it's called Animal Raging Battle Story.
That's a much better name.
That is a better name. It says exactly, it says exactly what it is. It's an animal raging battle story. The game. In this game, you are it's a fighting game with a little bit of a twist. You might think the twist is that instead of humans, it's animals fighting in sort of a human pose or stance. It works quite nicely because it's sort of kung fu style fighting, and they have kung fu styles, don't they? Like the tiger or the snake or the crane. If you've seen Karate Kid, there's the crane kick. So yeah, those, and I quite liked the style. Felt almost a little bit genuine as opposed to these fantasy fight games. So that was quite nice. The idea is, the plot is that it's an island hosting a martial arts tournament. Pretty much the plot of Enter the Dragon. And the sound effects are pretty much the sound effects from Enter the Dragon. You progress through a fighting tournament, but what's pretty neat little concept, and this is why it's made it onto my list, is that as you progress through the tournament, you actually acquire skills and special moves. So you don't really have any special moves at the beginning of your quest through the tournament, and you acquire more special moves. What it lacks a bit, though, is that, whilst it's snappy and there's a good arrangements of high kicks, low kicks, variety, it seems that really if you just say move Michael it, aka if you just hit the same button that seems to work, and don't let the other person have a chance, you seem to win. So all of that kung fu and variety.
Wouldn't you have
moves,
to do that if you don't have any moves to start with anyway?
Well, that's a good point. Yeah. Well, maybe no. Well, I still think they would think you would. I don't know. That is also the drawback, and probably why no one else has taken that concept on. Because
it is a weird twist, isn't it? Really. I mean, it's an interesting one, but it's also like I wouldn't recommend going to a fight to the death tournament not having any special moves to start with and hoping that you acquire them on the way. That doesn't sound like a particularly good idea.
A recipe for disaster, doesn't it?
It does.
Especially if you're fighting a bear, for example, and you're just a chicken.
Yeah.
And with no special moves.
Hoping that your pluck master move will acquire itself.
In the next round. All I've got to do is beat this bear and then beat the jaguar.
Yeah.
And then I'll
I hope that it's like an elephant mouse situation and bears are actually terrified of chickens. That would be...
Can't be resting on those assumptions.
I played this one. It's got a kind of like almost like a Looney Tunes on acid sort of Looney Tunes. Sort of like almost as if they wanted it to be a Looney Tunes game and they were like, no, this is too weird. So
I think it was a little bit glitchy on the SNES as well. It wasn't the best port. I think it's Sega. Is it made? I think it's just made for the Sega console and then ported over. So
yeah, but I thought it was very clunky on the Mega Drive as well. I didn't think I wanted to love the game, but it just didn't feel right. Like it didn't feel very responsive.
So and that's why it snuck in as my number 5. I'm trying to think what it displaced. I was tossing and turning all night. I'm trying to work out what I dropped. What did I drop? I don't even know. Probably a bass fishing game because there was loads of those. But let's not get into that.
Let's not. Spoiler alert. So, next up.
So that was just my first one. Sorry. I well overcooked that one. My next one is a bit of a classic for me. I was very happy and reassured to see it there. If I read the title how I thought it was when I was younger, I thought it was Barkley, shut up and jam. But it's actually Barkley saying, shut up and jam to me, the player. I thought he was just
a colon or...
I think it's a colon. I'm not that great with grammar. I always get distracted by that term. But yeah, it's him saying "shut up and jam." That's he knows what he's doing.
I thought it was because it's like street basketball. It's someone on the side going, "Barkley, shut up and jam." It makes more sense because he's going, "Hey,
now. Okay,
hey."
He's having a go at me. I just bought his game, and he's
You're the one on the court. Couldn't remember what it's called there. You shut up and jam. I'm paying you.
So it isn't. Yeah. So we've established that. So maybe that made me like it less. But I was worried playing it that it wouldn't be as good because I've got into NBA Jam more recently. And that's a pretty tight arcade port game, and it's pretty fun. And I was thinking, my grounding is in Shut Up and Jam. I wonder if it's just a rip-off. And it is a rip-off because it did come out afterwards, but it's based on street basketball, so it only has street basketball rules. 2v2, you're on street like concrete courts, and there's a little bit of light Fresh Prince of Bel-Air style music in the background when you play.
Yeah. I think the actual 2v2 is actually a better format for basketball games because as a 2-player, it's really fun because you've got a locked player. This is who I am. This is who you are. It's not like you can flip, which is sometimes one of the annoyances with like football games and things.
Yeah, FIFA and that, Yeah. It's pretty accessible because also the player that you're not, they do what you tell them. So if you press pass, they pass it back to you. And if you press shoot, they shoot. Even if they didn't want to, they have to do it. So you're like you're like the captain, and really you're so intimidating that they just do pass it here, and they're just about to do a slam dunk, and they pass it back to you because you've got that much authority. So that's pretty cool.
Really, the title should be Barkley, Shut up and pass me the ball, even though you were literally just about to dunk it in the net.
I think
Would be a
that's the
more
Japanese
accurate-
title. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Can you remember from playing it any of, apart from Sir Charles Barkley?
Yeah.
Can you remember any of the names? Because they don't have any licensed players on this. This is all.
Oh, no, I don't.
Oh, well, do you remember the guys down at the court? Because you can select. They're all stood. It's really. It's a good feature to pick your teammate. They're all just stood in a line, like against the school wall when you're picking
Oh, yeah.
teams in sports. So you can pick. This is just some of the names that I quite liked. You can be Smoothie, Spike,
Yeah.
Sweet Pea,
A lot
T-Bone,
of S names. Oh,
Chili.
Yeah. T-Bone.
or Funky D,
Funky D. You could pick any of those, can you?
and more.
Chili.
There's probably
Wasn't Chili was one of the TLC people, wasn't she?
Smoothie had shades. So I think I would.
Was he drinking a smoothie?
I don't think
That would've been good
smoothies
if you
were
had like
around
a-
then. 1993
milkshake.
or 94. I don't think smoothies had been
True.
invented.
Yeah.
So we can rule that out. Here, right now. Maybe if you
Coca-Cola. That would be
if you
my
really
name.
like something and you're on the street, that's what you get. Like T-Bone, I bet he likes a T-Bone steak. Or
Well, I think
he's always driving into people like side on.
yeah. Or he's,
Oh, he's
you
got
know,
an unusual penis. Or not. It's fine. What else did I find interesting about this game? Oh, another fun fact about this game is that compared to NBA Jam or NBA Jam Tournament Edition,
yeah.
Shut Up and Jam is the only game out of those three that lets you play a tournament. You can't
Oh.
play a tournament in NBA Jam
In
Tournament
NBA.
Edition.
It seems a
So
mystery.
If you want to, I mean, if you like NBA Jam, you might be thinking this is a copy, but you should just be thinking, oh, it's a similar game that I might also enjoy with different backgrounds and
Finally, I get
different
to
vibes.
compete.
So you're going to like it. And if you don't like basketball games, this is also a game for you because it's these kind of gateway drug games that you might become like a basketball
We're
fanatic.
very, very pro gateway drugs on this show.
Gateway
Like
games.
Barkley, Shut Up and Jam. That's what.
It's
Yeah,
a
that's what
metaphor.
we said.
A metaphor.
Games. There's a lot of fouling. Speaking of illegal behaviour, I remember there's a lot of hacking.
Well, it's
sort of elbow.
street rules, which is basically you can do whatever you want, except one thing they will not tolerate is goaltending violations. They will stop the game and award the points to the other team if you do a goaltending violation, even in street rules. I think
boards. They're just sticklers for goaltending violations, aren't they?
They are. That will
Hey,
really
excuse
rile
me,
them.
excuse me. That ball was about to go into the hoop. You cannot just jump up and push it out.
I don't care if you're 8 foot tall.
Goaltending violation, referee.
Yeah,
but
he's
they
right.
all
It
seem
was.
to agree. Yeah, it was, guys. Smoothie, come on, Smoothie, get back to the center circle. You cheat.
Exactly.
I don't care how many times he elbowed you in the face. You must not violate the goal.
Don't be a wimp. Just stick. There's only one rule. Yeah. Well, there's 2 rules. First rule is there's no rules. Rule number 2, goaltending violation will remain a rule.
Yeah.
So that's
all right. We've taken. That's probably covered Barkley. Shut up. And
then
jam.
there's just one more thing. I need to get it in. Is that if you had a Mega Drive or a SNES, and if you had a multi-tap and extra controllers, you could play 4 players. You could
Whoa!
so
every single player on the court.
Imagine the arguments you'd have in that game.
No, because it's very simple. It's just 2 rules.
No, because your teammate doesn't pass it back to you when you say if they're a real human.
Ah, right. That is annoying.
Yeah. I like discipline. Okay, sorry. That is Barkley, Shut Up and Jam. That's a great game. Try that out. My next game is called B.O.B, Bob, which is just sort of my pick of the platformers, really, that I came across. Just a nicely animated, it's a sort of Toe Jam and Earl style alien platformer game. There's quite a lot of them, but this is that sort of style. It's well animated, though, and he's got some pretty cool weapons. He's got a choice of guns and power-ups. And just the way he moves, like if he's climbing across something where he's reaching and swinging across, he doesn't swing with two arms, just one hand. The fingers sort of jiggle along, and he scurries across. And when he ducks, that's pretty cool. Strangely, it's based on the Wayne's World engine, and that game was rubbish. So it's funny how they've managed to spin a good game out of a really failed
Why
game.
would you start with that?
Cheap.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in Japan. It's known as Space Funky Bob, which again is a better name.
Okay.
Do you want to know
That's
the plot
a better name.
before we move on?
I'd like to know what B.O.B stands for.
No one knows. I can find out. I googled it and it wasn't clear, so I gave up. But when Bob crashes his dad's space car on the way to pick up his date, he finds himself stranded on a hostile asteroid filled with enemies. By collecting power-ups and fast reflexes, Bob tries to find his way off the asteroid and to his date. So that's as serious as that game takes itself. It's just trying to not be late for a date.
Yeah.
So try that one. It's pretty fun. And the music I thought was pretty cool. I mistakenly played it on the Mega Drive first because I forgot that I was switching to SNES this week, and it was pretty punchy on that old Mega Drive synth. It was pretty good. Still good on the SNES, but it was notably fun on the Mega Drive. The music was pretty good. My next game, number 4, is a puzzle game, would you believe? Bust a Move, aka Puzzle Bobble, which is one of those puzzly games, which I was worried when I looked at it that in the day of Candy Crush and all the mobile phone games, is it going to hold water still? But first of all, it doesn't have adverts that pops up all the time, but it's still very playable, very addictive. It's like a reverse Tetris style game, columnsy kind of game, but in this instance there's a mound of blobs at the top in like a bunch of grapes formation, and you shoot colored balls, and if 3 of the same color are the same, everything below the balls that melt away drop off, and the idea is to clear all of the screen. And it sounds simple, but the way that they do it is quite nice. You've got a nice learning curve, and pretty addictive.
Possibly the only thing more boring than a puzzle game is like listening to a description of a puzzle game.
Well, that was going to be it. Maybe no. I think you've riled me because that's all my notes I've got. But I think if that annoys you, maybe I'll just describe more about what it is. Like you've got this pointy thing, and you point. Even I'm bored.
Pointy thing, yeah.
You're interested now, aren't you?
Yeah, no, I like that.
Well, actually, now I'm not going to describe any more Bust a Move, so I'm going to move on to the saviour of the bees.
Okay.
My final selection, and I'm pretty glad Batman Returns was on the list of bees for the SNES. Somehow I'd not played it before. And last week we had Adventures of Batman and Robin into the top 5, didn't make it into the sort of top 2. But this game, I just think it blew all of the games in B out of the water.
Wow.
I think it's just the best Batman game. It's a 1992 game, I think, and it's probably not everyone's cup of tea, but it just ticked all of my boxes for what I enjoy in a game. First of all, it's that Batman Returns is a Tim Burton film, so it's that Tim Burton style.
Yeah.
So it's got nice music, and everything's just really well designed in it. It's that theme. All the baddies are sort of, even the colours of the clothes are really good. It's a beat 'em up. Basically, you shuffle along, but Batman just looks like a big tough guy, and he just seems a bit meaner. And he's got some awesome moves. So even if you're just button bashing like what I would do, you've got things that you fire off, little bat stars, and you can do a flying kick off your winchy thing that you chuck. But also just when you're up close, if you've got enemy both sides. He clunks their heads together. He lifts people up by their neck and sort of starts punching them. He throws them. It's just an awesome brawler. It just seems to really feel good when you play it. Like some games feel good, but you feel good when you play this game. It is top of my list for sure. Right on my street.
For sure.
Batman looks proper hench. He's just bigger than everyone. Nice. Everything's nicely animated. Loads of choice of bad guys that sort of wobble over. And there's another cool bit where the first level you're walking down the high street. The high street in what is Batman's village called? Gotham High Street. You're going down Gotham Village Road, and
it's all Gotham.
if you're near a bad guy, you chuck him into
Gotham
the shop
Lane,
window.
You've gone too far.
Don't put it in your sat nav; it won't take you there. So if you buy a shop window, you will chuck someone into the window and it will smash. It's just nice. It's just things like that are pretty good. So that's my 5, and I've finished on the one to watch. But I'm glad it was there, because otherwise I'd have probably stuck another puzzle game in there just to annoy people.
I was going to say, sure, Batman Returns beats Puzzle Bobble. It's definitely. You're happy with that choice?
Well, we don't have to decide that now. I'm just getting it out there. That's for discussion later on. Stop jumping ahead.
Okay, so it must be my turn on the old Mega Drive, aka
Mega Drive dub.
Genesis. Another. Do you know what else the Mega Drive was called?
No.
In South Korea, it was called the Super Game Boy. Okay. Sounds a little bit close to the Super Game Boy. And later they changed it to the Super Aladdin Boy in South Korea. That's a little interesting fact for you there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like they worked together their favourite word. It's like a search thing. What do we like? We like Aladdin. That was good. And
that's a good game.
Boys, we like that. Super.
Okay.
Who doesn't like Super?
But it's funny that they would attach that to the Sega console. The old Super Mega Drive.
Super Mega Drive. Imagine if they'd have called the Sega Saturn the Super Mega Drive. Everything could have changed.
Did you buy a Saturn, Martin?
No, I didn't actually. I can't say. I had a Dreamcast.
Dreamcast, even worse.
For a moment.
Yeah, I remember.
No, Dreamcast good. Dreamcast good.
Was it?
Yeah, I regret getting rid of that.
Really?
Yeah.
What would the Dreamcast go up against for a future A to Zelda series?
What am I trying to think? It would probably
didn't really compete with the other two.
Is it one? It was competing directly with the PlayStation 2, so it would probably get its ass whooped on every letter, because PlayStation 2's got about a zillion games. But actually, it is supposed to be the most true arcade. Is almost up to speed with really good arcade. I think it's like Crazy Taxi and that cool sword fighting game, Soul Calibur. Oh, that's a good game. But anyway, we digress.
Anyway, on to my dump.
How would you describe it if you had to sum it up?
My dumps this week, sort of a quest, an epic quest.
Sounds familiar.
Because there were a lot of RPGs on the Mega Drive in B, I found.
I see.
A lot, and I picked almost none of them. So, a little bit of bias, but a little bit of, I guess, acknowledgement. I don't generally really like RPGs unless they're particularly good. So, which is interesting because the one I picked this week isn't particularly good, but I still picked it. Why don't we start there?
I like your logic. You may as well.
This was, so of all the actual very serious questy games that there were, because B, everything starts with battle. It's like battle of the battle this. So but I actually picked the goofy one, Beavis and Butthead, just because I used to like watching Beavis and Butthead. So, and I generally liked their kind of games. I hadn't played this one before, and it actually looks kind of cool, and the music's kind of fun, and it does feel a bit like the cartoon, which is the only reason it made it on the list. But it's also not very good, really. It's one of those sort of logic solve puzzle to get to the next bit games, but it's not very logical. It's kind of like oh, why didn't you think to try the apple on the door handle to get through, kind of thing. Like, it's just a matter of just trying item A.
They still make
on
games like that
object
even
B.
now.
I know. There's no point. There should be some kind of riddle element to it rather than just throw stuff at the wall until something sticks. That's literally all that game is. So
it's a good philosophy for life, though, isn't it? So,
to just try everything instead of us using your logic and experience to succeed. Is that what you're suggesting, Martin?
I don't know. I never
good
think,
life advice.
I never think about anything I say. Just through. Don't think through to the second. I don't question.
Well, that's much better life advice. Don't think about what I'm saying. I like that quote because I agree. I'm the same. All right, next up. Don't need to talk about this anymore, but Barkley, Shut Up and Jam. We've definitely covered that already. I feel like it wasn't as good quality as the SNES version. I'm mostly basing that on memory of playing the SNES one, but also I did have a little bit of a quick look. Just seems a bit...
Those extra colours for the SNES really making it happen for Charles Barkley.
There is a Barkley Shut Up and Jam 2, but that felt a bit weird. It didn't really seem to improve much, and in some ways it looked a bit weirder. So I'll still just go with the first one. Yeah. But anyway, we've definitely covered that already. Next up, Batman. So I don't think there is. Is there just an original Batman on the SNES, or is there just Batman Returns?
Well, that's I had Batman Forever. I managed to sort of.
Oh yeah.
Which is we won't even go there, but maybe I think there might have been like a niche. It might have been released somewhere, but not everywhere.
Don't take my word for it, though. Situation to the Aladdin thing. These were actually different teams with these particular. So because hearing you talk about Batman Returns, I'm like, that is definitely not the case with the Mega Drive version, and they are actually different teams that built those games. So Batman Returns is not the same, and it does look amazing on the SNES. So that's why I haven't picked it for the Mega Drive. But Batman, I actually enjoyed playing Batman more than Batman Returns, the Genesis versions. Solid. So just kind of a cool game. I enjoyed it a bit.
They always they put out a good game, don't they? Batman. They sort of get that right most of the time. Yeah. Maybe it's more higher strike rate from other franchises, I think.
Yeah. So I don't want to talk about that much. Yeah, it's worth a play. Enough said. It's Batman. Boogerman. Now, this was my wildcard entry. I had the most fun playing this. Just because I'd never heard of it before, but you discover all these weird things. The soundtrack's really cool, kind of funky.
It is available on SNES too, so if people are worried if they can. Yeah, I did have to play. It was probably a bit complicated for me, but I had to play. It probably wasn't that far between that and Bob, between me choosing it. So it was probably
it too close to
reality,
too close to the bone for you? Because a lot of what you do, it's like, why do you need a game to do it? Because he flicks boogers at people. That's one of his weapons. Hence Boogerman. Mm-hmm. He can also burp really loud and hurt people with that. Wow. And you sort of transport through walls up big noses and things. And my favorite bit, which I discovered by accident, and I was like, "What is it? You can fly across the screen by igniting your fart and sort of jetpacking across." So there were all these. It was just
Quite
fun,
quite talented then. Quite
very
talented
talented,
individual.
enjoyable game. I definitely recommend having a bit of a play. That was Boogerman. Yeah, big surprise, and I'm really just going on a fun factor. Like, how fun was it to play? That's usually what's going to get it on the list. So it's definitely a contender there.
Yeah.
On to my stinky dump section, where I like to pick a game that is kind of so bad that it's actually quite fun. So it doesn't really get in on its own merit, other than it's a bit crap, but not in a boring or a shoddy way, but in a what the hell kind of way. This is a game called Bassmaster's Classic. And I remember seeing this.
Game.
Yeah, when we were growing up, games were, you're a kid, you're using your own money to buy the games. It's very expensive. So you're very cautious about what you rent. I mean, we used to rent Barkley, Shut Up and Jam. But this one I would often see in the shop, and I would think, who would buy this game? A fishing game? You've got to be kidding me. And in fact, our other brother, the other Martin brother, said that he had a friend who had this game and played on it all the time, and he said that they're not friends anymore. And so it wasn't explained as to whether that's because he was playing on it so much he didn't have time for friends, or whether the
game came between them.
Yeah, probably. Maybe it didn't let him play it, or maybe it just made him, Martin brother, judge him harshly. Say, I can't be friends with a fishing game person.
Or maybe he accidentally called Martin Bass instead of Martin, and that was like, you're not even, you're saying Bass instead of my name by accident. Yeah. Maybe that happened.
Maybe.
So how did it get in
there?
Well,
it's in the stinky dump section, and that is enjoyably bad. So I actually kind of enjoyed it, even though it's ridiculous, because there's a few things that you get to do. You get to sort of go into your little boat, and you get to pick where you throw your cast off. It's not particularly realistic, I don't think, because once your hook is in the water, you actually get to, like if you see a fish under the water, you get to move the hook towards the fish and things like that, which
it's very
not
modern.
Being a fisherman myself, but I'm pretty sure that you don't have a kind of arcade style follow the fish thing. You just sort of pick a good spot generally, I think. But yeah, so
it's a fishing tournament. Then have you got to get a heavy fish to win the tournament? How do you win? How do you progress in the game? What's the point? That's what I'm trying to say. Is it just leisurely, like, oh, do you want to catch a fish? Or I suppose probably in some sort of
yeah.
There's probably some sort of tournament. You probably have to like get a fish, and then
there probably is. But I'll be honest, I just played it for the enjoyment. I actually found it quite relaxing. It's you get to pull the cast up and go somewhere else, and that kind of thing. And just the fact that I saw it so many times as a kid and was so critical of it, I think added to my enjoyment. The fact that I was like, why? How did I end up at this point in my life that I'm playing a fishing game?
Having said that,
yeah.
If out of your stinky dumps here, if we were to, sorry, not your stinky, out of your selection, if you were on a desert island or the internet cut out for life, and you had these games, I think for the first few months you'd be working on the top four, but I think you would slowly revert back to the long game, wouldn't you? You'd be on Bassmaster's Classic. You'd be fine-tuned. You'd have the time to enjoy it and get into it.
I do feel, though, if I was on a desert island, I would probably be doing like real fishing, so I wouldn't die. Maybe that would be further priority than my game collection, which somehow I can power up.
People make out that if you were on a desert island, you'd have nothing to do, but you'd have so much to do.
So much to do.
There'd be no time to I mean,
no
you've
electricity.
spent all that all that energy getting the generator full of power to just spunk it all up the wall playing Bassmasters Classic.
Yeah. Oh, I finally made that clockwork generator. Oh, thank goodness.
Well, thanks for sharing your dump with me. That's interesting. Worth checking out. Everyone should check out these. But now it's time for the cut.
The cut.
And in the cut, we need to whittle that list, or we need to whittle 5 games up to the top table, the B top table, where we will then pick a winner to get into the Hall of Game. So, what do we want to get rid of? What do we want to put forward?
I'm going to cut Beavis and Butthead because it doesn't deserve any real plaudits. I personally enjoyed it, but I'm acknowledging that that's because I like Beavis and Butthead, and but I don't think I'd have had as much patience with it if So that's got to go.
Well, I'm going to get rid of Bob because it's fun platformer, but it's not going the extra mile. It's not making it to the top table, I'm afraid. Not for me, anyway.
So what have we got? That well, I'm going to put forward. I don't know what I'm just trying to remember what I'm going to cut. Maybe I'm going to.
What about Bassmasters Classic?
Classic. Yeah. That's got to go.
I had to check.
Yeah.
I don't want to be rude and do it behind your back.
Which leaves me with Barkley, Shut Up and Jam, Boogerman, and Batman. What have you got left currently?
What have I got left? I've got Bust a Move, Batman Returns, Barkley, Shut Up and Jam.
Paws. Did you cut that one already?
Oh yeah, well, cut that. Yeah, it's a brutal.
Cut that one.
That's gone.
You didn't
I've got
seem
3.
overly
Have you got
fond.
3? Have you got 3?
Yes, but we've got an overlap.
Well, actually, that's one duplicate. So Barkley, Shut Up and Jam us on both. So we have a top 5. Well, we have a top table. So that is Barkley, Shut Up and Jam, Batman, Boogerman, Batman Returns, Bust a Move. So that's not a bad top table for the Bs, which I was, I was disappointed. Really, that is not bad. If you're going to pick out, if you just want a few games to play this week, and you don't have to trawl through the 60, 70 games on both systems, they're all decent games there.
Just tuck in and enjoy them.
Yeah, just tuck in and enjoy. And
we've done the hard work.
I mean, it's hard work. There's a lot of research. I call it research. I have to go and do some research on the Bs. Yeah. It's not just sitting around playing computer games.
Although it might look like that to any of the Martin wives observing. Yeah. Might look like we're just playing games, but it's thoroughly...
It's research. We're doing it for you guys.
Yeah.
We're doing it for you listeners.
All right, what was your favourite? It sounded like...
I thought Batman Returns was fantastic. And I think I've overcome my bias in thinking that Barkley, Shut Up and Jam, wasn't. It's still good. So I think they're my top 2. They're the sort of top 2 I'd put forward.
Okay.
Bust a Move. Bust a Move, it's a puzzle game. We've got a puzzle game into the top 5 early on. So we don't have to think about puzzle games for a while.
Yeah. Okay, well, I would pick Boogerman and Barkley, Shut Up and Jam as my 2. I know that's going to probably annoy any Batman fans, but they just won't. They won't. Seeing the SNES one, I could say, okay, that looks really awesome. This might actually be a point for SNES this week because you're a bit of a Mega Drive fanboy, but yeah, I think by your own.
I just think and I've got no bias. I even asked Twitter and Facebook what they thought about Batman. And Batman Returns, people love it. People still get it out and play it.
I think we
Some
might
people said it was rubbish.
This week's Hall of Game looks like it's going to be Batman Returns.
Batman Returns.
Hall of Game
for the SNES.
For the SNES, yeah.
The SNES.
That's a definitely point for SNES.
Fastest loser. Are we going to stick Barkley, Shut Up and Jam as our runner-up?
I'm tempted with Boogerman just because it was a lot of fun, but I would have to go with Barkley. Yeah, as the kind of best runner-up wild card entry. I think it's a lot of fun. It's a good
Great.
one player. It's a great 2-player, and apparently, it's a 4-player as well.
Well,
So yeah,
it's news to me.
get on
Don't
with the
take my
Barkley.
word for it.
Shut up and
Well,
jam.
that's great. Well, we got there in the end. That wasn't too
You
bad.
did.
That was good. Check them out this week. You've got 7 days to check out the bees. There's a nice short
Yeah.
list there. What else could you do in the next 7 days, Martin? Until the
Send
next
us
show
a-
drops.
Send us
Send us an
a
email.
tweet, a twitty,
yeah.
twitty,
A twitty, that's what they're
tweetson. And you can Twitter us, Tweety, at Golden Era. What was it? What was your?
At Golden Ear Gamer.
At Golden Era Gamer.
Yeah.
Twitter. Or you can email us if you're really old and you use emails. You can email us on Golden Era Gaming Podcast at gmail.com.
Hey man, you're so old you still use email.
Yeah. Get back to the... Well, maybe they do use email because that's like a bit 90s, isn't it?
Yeah.
These consoles
Pretty
were before email. How did we used to communicate in the early 90s? Telephone.
I don't think we did. We would just
Give us-
play 4-player games and we would just grunt to each other around the
True.
multi-tap. Or you could do other things and just, just
Get on
stay
with your
safe,
life.
Stay out of,
Yeah.
get on with your life.
Yeah.
If you hated the show, then let us know. If you liked it, let us know. If you hated it, still listen next week because it's so inconsistent that you might actually prefer it next week. It's difficult
Yeah.
to tell. And if
Yeah.
and if you don't like inconsistent things, but you like this show, you might not like next week.
Because
But,
if it's a good one, you'll be annoyed that it's not as bad as this one. I see.
They're not all going to be very good.
Do people
But-
like stuff anymore?
No, they don't actually. It's just as
Good
well.
point. So send all your hate to someone else. Actually, yeah, if you really hate the show, tell a friend about how much you hate it.
Yeah.
And tune into the Golden Era Gaming Podcast, A to Zelda, next week, where we'll be looking at the letter C.
And next week we'll try and have a clearer outro. So if you didn't like the
Yes.
outro from this one, which you probably
Yeah.
don't, then you can enjoy next week's. That's for sure.
It's a work in progress. We're fine-tuning the formula. But we will see you next week.
Yeah.
Be there.
See.
Or be squared.
I can't think of any. All right. Goodbye.
Bye.